All right, so it's going to be another one of those videos where kind of start talking and see where I end up. I like to do that. I don't think it's very effective, but it was kind of something I don't enjoy is sitting down and preparing ahead of time. It's awful, and I did try a little bit to have some bullet points on one of my last videos. I could kind of tell I was just reading, so my heart really wasn't into it. I have any number of things I could do. Now, there is some preparation mentally, somewhat. I guess I would be like listening to about 4 Squyres videos slash podcasts today. Had one earbud in, just kind of listening at work today. I can't really condense that down or summarize any of it. A lot of it soaked in I guess you could say my subconscious mind. But I like how he has developed a language. Not only has it been developing, I think it's actually uprising isn't quite the right word. Let me read a post that I made today about one of the videos. Probably would make more sense if I would read in that regard. Squyres, you either know him or you don't, I guess. Look him up. He's a poet. He's also a songwriter. And I think he's a little bit on the rogue side if we want to talk about that. So he's a Christian. He's in the supportive role within his church and his environment and where he goes and plays. But he's also a little subversive, and he has some awesome qualities. He does it all in kindness and respect. Anyway, this is what I wrote. I can really appreciate this casual setting and how, because of Andy's pioneering endeavor, there's language emerging and developing for things that just don't usually get talked about. Nor do such things, sometimes not so positive, get talked about the way Andy does. He's not solution-driven, which pairs perfectly with his uncanny ability to get down to the core of the human condition, or should I just say humanity. I mean, if you can kind of capture some of the essence and imagine some of the church, if you've been exposed to any church at all, you kind of know if oftentimes, not always, but there's a pretty good feel vibe there sometimes. They try to portray that. And in my opinion, a lot of times they actually do succeed at it with all the worship and things. Andy, on the other hand, I wouldn't want to say he pokes fun at it, but a little bit. He's talking about there's a lion in every song, and I'll be honest, I actually do like the song he's probably referring to. I've played it many times, and I feel the anointing on the song. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on this one because of how much I like kind of the other side of things too, where there's just more of this realism that he embraces. And some of the videos I was listening to for today, which weren't the first time I think some of these I've listened to, but maybe a couple of them. But let me give you just the least titles. The one I last listened to, I'm like 3/4 of the way done, an honors college conversation with songwriter and poet Andy Squyres. So that doesn't give you any context, but other than to say he's sitting down in this humble-looking place. It might be a gymnasium, I'm not sure. But he's talking, it's probably not quite a gymnasium. I see like a cross in the background and wainscoting and a wooden floor, but kind of still has that vibe to it. And I don't know if he has a large crowd because he doesn't pan around and you can't view the crowd, but he's apparently talking to college students who have enrolled in, I think, like an engineering degree. I'm not sure. Anyway, he thought he was talking to a lot of engineers in that crowd, but it actually looks like more like I'm not sure. I thought maybe it was a religious affiliated college, but that's kind of besides the point. That's one of the best ones I have listened to, though, as far as just raw recording, but still has some quality to it. It picks up enough of the quality where it feels like it might be better than just some smartphone on a tripod. Well, maybe it is just that, but you could pick up the ambience of the room and things like that. That's not really where I was going. One of the videos I just barely started listening to wasn't about him at all, but I think it might have been on a similar channel, was low anthropology. I don't know, that's just a new term I think I even heard Andy use, though. I'll have to look into what that means. I think I kind of have a rough idea, but I can't really get into something I don't know about. But here's one where I actually am. I listened to this whole video today. Faith, Pain, and Positivity. Are we getting it wrong? Andy Squyres. And he's being interviewed, I think it's by Rita Springer. That was a pretty good conversation. Now, I could read the AI summary of it, but I think maybe I should stop reading AI summaries. I should either remember what he said or just have to go through the video and painfully write down notes for you. But I do think that was a very good conversation. What can I remember if I press my brain on that? It seems to me, like I said before, within church culture in the United States, there's kind of this focus on positivity, almost like positive thinking. And I've definitely been a part of that. Like if you have a cold, you don't even usually anyway say that you have a cold. You might use other words like I'm fighting a cold. I think that does have power to some extent. I mean, I rarely got sick or anything. I'm not really trying to bash that, but I think it can be kind of overdeveloped, if you will, and we get kind of caught up in a certain rut where we miss out on other facets of Christian psychology, can I call it that, or just Christian experience and Christian endeavor, or just even our other brothers and sisters in Christ who maybe don't have that particular view, or even the world for that matter. Not that we should, I've been trying to get away from that secular versus Christian dichotomy or secular versus sacred, but I can never quite escape it yet. But it's in the beginning fringes here of my mind not to do that, but of course I'm used to the language that's already been developed in my head, so it's almost like learning a new language. Now, I didn't listen to the many disappointments of Andy Squyres today, but I've listened to that plenty of other times. Yes, here's another one, American and Charismatic Christianity with Andy Squyres. American and Charismatic Christianity. Now, it turns out what's interesting about Andy Squyres for me personally is like I find so many points of relatability, and including the car that I drive. Now, I think he said he drives or was driving. I think he is driving still, like a 2001, maybe 2002. I think it's 2001, I'm going to say, Honda Accord. Now, remember in a prior video, I just showed that my 2005 Honda Accord burned up overnight without even my knowledge. I just walked out in the morning, and there it was, burnt to a crisp. At least the engine compartment. So that was an interesting find for me. And since then, I've got a different car, although that too is a Honda Accord. Granted, it's 2009 this time. Ooh, I moved up in the world, but Andy seems to be one of these people. It's almost like the slightly more modern, or meta-modern, is that a new word now, version of Rich Mullins. And he doesn't really embrace poverty. He still wants to have, success. He's not trying to be like a poor person with no ambition in life, because I can certainly tell he has ambition, and in fact quite a lot more of it than me if he's making a living being like a poet and a musician and things like that, speaking engagements, whatever. But I didn't know how to summarize everything that was exposed to today and re-exposed to. So I'm trying to get it kind of ingrained in my head. That's why I listen multiple times, because I do believe, I kind of have this sense, I could be wrong, that sometimes the Lord gives me a sneak preview of where he is heading, at least within certain streams within the body of Christ. And I don't think too many people would be on board with me, with his content. But also remember, they're not really listening, because you listen to the first few minutes and you're probably going to hate him if you're the typical evangelical Christian. You're probably not going to like what he has to say. But I don't know, that's exactly why I did like what he had to say. So before I really knew Andy Squyres, I don't know him, but before I at least knew his name and what he was about, I think I did post something of his, and I maybe casually looked at who the author was, but I think I remember one of the first ones that I think I barely remember was something about being in the church environment where it's kind of, I'm butchering whatever he meant by this one poem or this essay, something about going to church where the people are a little bit weird, maybe even off-putting, and the bass player's wearing cargo pants. I don't know. And I related to that for some reason. But keep going to church and keep loving God. Something along those lines. It's all part of the experience. So he's almost making like this poetic justice, if you will, of sometimes maybe your church experience is great. Mine's often pretty good. Now, people-wise, maybe that's my problem. I don't know how much responsibility I want to take for whatever I'm experiencing there that way. But as far as being on the worship team, I think it's pretty cool. I probably have missed out all my life on some facet of socializing, probably, but I've engaged. I've also engaged. I don't want to really cut myself down too far. Though it's kind of a sign of intelligence to kind of poke fun at yourself too a little bit. Self-depreciating statements about oneself. But I wouldn't want to have other people take me too literally. I think I'm definitely capable, more than people think, of socializing and engaging. But for some reason, I don't know. One of my first things is, sure, I'll give it some time before I run out the door, but I really don't run out the door. It seems like I give people a chance. And sometimes, there's that moment of engagement. And honestly, I'm such an introvert, I'm hardly even looking for it. So it's not like going to break my heart if no one talks to me, honest to God. I mean, it'd be nice, I suppose, if a lovely lady would, right? But I've had good moments in that regard too, but honestly, it's usually not at church. Can I just be honest about that? I mean, I'm going to take someone to church that I maybe met somewhere else, those kinds of things. But anyway, where was I going with all this? I guess, yeah, Andy is just one of these people that likes to talk about his life experience. A lot of preachers do that, but he does it in a different way. And he's not always trying to race towards the solution. In fact, he doesn't really provide a solution. It's just kind of walking through life and experiencing God through the good times and the bad. I guess if I could summarize, maybe that's 50% as good as how he would say it, maybe at least half as good. But I have to say it my own way, because I'm not Andy Squyres, although I do totally resonate. I mean, I suppose there's areas I may disagree if I got to know him more. I probably would. I don't know him personally at all. I don't know if we even get along on a personal level. You can't assume. I imagine we probably could, but you can't really assume those things. Who knows, you might be starstruck by somebody, get to know him, and maybe like, meh, I mean, that can't happen. Or you'd be so freaking star-studded, your own perspective of the other person, that you'd probably freeze and choke up and not be able to, or paralyzed and not be able to really say anything of value or social relevance or whatever. But anyway, I don't know exactly where I was going. It's just it's refreshingly different because I know a lot of people are on board with this person on social media or that person, and they may post something. I'm like, I admit it. Sometimes I'm like, why do so many people gravitate towards this person? I mean, I kind of actually know why, and I see their value, but I don't see their value directly related to me. But there's always somebody if you're willing to look, and I feel like I've kind of found that. I mean, it was kind of I don't know if I was actively looking, maybe kind of just based on the fact that I looked or that I've always looking on YouTube for something to listen to. And honest to God, if I wasn't jiving with, it depends on how far off I felt. I may honestly listen to someone and not really feel it too much, but if it was off enough, it's like next, just kind of like next. Nope, that's not it. Nope. And it's almost like through the process of elimination, like that, I finally came across. Of course, to be totally honest, there's plenty of people I've kind of touted on that journey. It's not like everyone was like, nah, you're no good, tossed to the curb. There's plenty of people that I've almost put on a pedestal that I've even unsubscribed to now. I was like, and I've had enough of that, unsubscribe. But I think Andy, I don't think I'm ever going to unsubscribe to him. So there's some things, let's say 4 years ago that I wouldn't have the time of day right now. Ironically, one of those was kind of like the Rapture watching. I admit I did listen to a little bit of some of that stuff, always with maybe a little bit of like this sense that, this is kind of wishful thinking that's kind of gone off the rails a little bit. And I kind of understand why I embraced it for a short season. But in church one Sunday morning, and it wasn't even based on a message, something inside me started unsubscribing to some of this Rapture Watch channels. So I did. I just like unsubscribe. Because I think some of them, some may have been setting dates, but just to give proper credit, some weren't really setting dates. Technically, they were providing high watch dates, but that's kind of a workaround to maybe some of the logistics of that, or the semantics of it. I know some people find that hilariously funny, but also one of the posts that I shared from Mandy Squyres was kind of about that theme of the rapture. And that's actually when I discovered him more consciously, even though I think I've shared some previous posts to that. This time when I read his post about that particular subject, I took mental note, okay, who is this guy? I think I've made a previous post, but I need to know who this is, because this is excellent material. And I kind of want to read that account again. I hope I have it in my notes app. Yep, I do. And I'm not even sure some of the pronunciations, like he mentions his grandkids and some works of poetry, and I don't know how to pronounce them, so I have to forgive me. But the rapture happened. I read a Denise Levertov poem. I kissed my grandsons Otis and Theodore and Reuben and my darling grand baby girl, Romy. I had an intense fight with my wife. I am now working to make amends. In the morning, I drank a delicious cup of coffee. I opened Nick Cave's Faith, Hope, and Carnage and discovered again the feeling of being shattered by grief and surviving. Victory of victories, I did not get on my phone before bed last night. I wrote a paragraph. The rapture happened and I am not left behind. I, for a moment, in the swirl of my scattered mind, experienced a meaningful clarity that plunged me to the depth I did not expect, a depth. Maybe it was an ecstatic experience. The rapture happened and I was caught up in the air. I don't have many answers, but I feel an immense sense of calling. I feel called to walk around in my freckled skin and to tell of my scars and how they happened. Yesterday, a dear friend told me about a memory he'd had. He said that he remembered first meeting me 26 years ago, that when he departed from my company, he took notice and said to himself, "That young man has been abandoned." Rapture? More like rupture. A tear streaked down my heart because it is stunning to be seen in so much vulnerability, to be remembered as you once were. We are strengthened by being known. I am no longer abandoned, but I sure have done some abandoning, for which I must atone. The rapture happened, and all the dispensationalists were left behind. Bless them. They are just like the rest of us, attempting to transcend their suffering. I saw two lovers walking, a man and a woman, like country going to town, neither with teeth. The man had a small ponytail, and he was helping his woman walk to the barbecue shack where they sell hillbilly fries. Neither of them were very old, but life had certainly taken its toll. Maybe they were spending their rent money, I don't know, but hillbilly fries are topped with pork barbecue, a lake of bright orange cheese sauce, and sweet red barbecue sauce, and it is equal parts the Whore of Babylon and the Kingdom of God. I got some too. They were rapturous, Andy Squyres. And that's not his best work, but that's just an example of when he got my attention. I don't know, the one prior to that, I barely remember, but I do think it was him. Let's see if I can find it. I don't have it in my notes. I'm just going to put in a search. Church, bass player, cargo pants, Andy Squyres. This is actually on Instagram. Andy Squyres, go to church. Let me read that more politely. Andy Squyres, go to church. If the sermon is boring, take a nap. If the sermon is compelling, well then, you're blessed. Chances are you're not going to like the preacher or the worship leader or something like that. All churches are pretty lame, to be honest, but thank God. I can't really handle a church that is so slick that I would actually pay attention enough to listen to the announcements. Hopefully at some point there will be a notice in the bulletin reminding you of the upcoming potluck directly following the service. Bring a covered dish, macaroni salad, turkey noodle casserole, ambrosia salad, or pineapple and mayonnaise sandwiches. Hot dogs will be provided. Go to church. Maybe the praise team stinks. That's okay. They're giving it their all. Hopefully there is a song that everyone in the family will like. If the guy leading worship is wearing cargo shorts, believe everything he says laughing out loud. But if the pastor has big muscles because he works out all the time, then there will be issues laughing out loud. Just kidding. I'm not working out. I don't care what anyone says. Let me read that again. I'm not working out. I don't care what anyone says. That's not really true. I've been walking 4 miles a day lately because I'm trying to live a long time, because once every 7 days I'm sitting my ass down in church. I go where the weirdos are, the crazy charismatics, the sexually liturgical types, them with their vestments and icons, and occasionally I might even hang with some of those middle-of-the-road, safe-as-milk evangelicals who will do just about anything to make sure people don't go to hell. The church is sure as hell complicated. Have you ever endured a church where all they have going for them is their perfect theology? Those people are kind of the worst, laughing. LOLOL. There's 2 LOLs in there, kind of. I think churches should have smoking sections and free beer. Honestly, we have kind of killed this whole coffee thing. Not cigarettes and beer for the sake of being cool, but as icons of grace. I'm going to church to thrash about and make the perfect theology crowd nervous. I'm going because I need to be made nervous too. Life is too short not to go to church. where the old ladies go on and on about nothing, where the teenagers are given the gift of boredom, and where I can get saved from my own perfectly curated life. I'm not sure if that's exactly, I don't think that's exactly what I had previously read. I'm going to say that's pretty close and close enough. That's pretty close enough, I think. I might even share it now. Copy link. Copy and share it on Facebook. But I shared that with you. And I don't know what I'd think if they had cigarettes and beer. But I mean, from a distance, I do kind of like the idea. If it was up close and personal, I think actually the beer sounds a little more welcoming than cigarettes. Although I must say, I did, interestingly enough, and I would never smoke, but I did share this with AI. Let's see, what did I write? Cigarettes and philosophy would make me completely happy. The only problem is I don't smoke, and I never will. But I don't know what that has to do with anything. It's kind of abstract philosophy, I guess. But I thought, even though I can talk for quite a long time about important matters, but I don't do a good job at it, so it's kind of like talking about nothing. I mean, I wish I was a little more gifted, but I can't be if I don't talk more. But I think I've done enough talking. I can't practice all in one session and expect that to work. Maybe I'll go ahead and play some music. And I don't play acoustic guitar, but I've always kind of wished that I had that gift. But I don't invest in it. I find it kind of, I don't know. I haven't taken off on guitar. And I have this microphone that doesn't want to go out any further, but I'm probably going to just delete the audio on this part anyway. So let's see what we have here. Oh, Jesus, help us. Yeah, that ain't working. All right. Well, it didn't go as long as I would have liked in some ways, but hope everyone is blessed and you're cool with. That was not my best piano playing. Maybe I don't know. You know, I have a plan about piano, but I'm going to keep it a surprise. Kind of ruined a little bit of it. Alright, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.